In this week's parsha, the double parsha of Tazria-Metzora, the main feature, the bulk of the psukim, deal with the Metzora, deal with the affliction of tzara'as, how to identify it, how to define it, and how to cleanse oneself of it. And the Torah defines the sufferer of the tzara'as as a kind of a journey that he goes through, based on the way that psukim describe this person. It starts off as an Adam, the pinnacle, Adam Harishon, Adam, but the Vayivra Elokim et Adam B'Tzelem Elokim, B'Dmut Tamito. So Adam is the essence. The Zohar points out that there are many names, Shemos Toar, for man, Adam, Gevar, Enosh, Ish, but Adam is above them all. Based on that pasuk of Vayivra Hashem et Adam B'Tzelmo. So the Torah, initially, when describing this person who's about to suffer from tzaras, talks about him as an Adam. Later in the psukim, it refers to him or her as an Ish or an Isha, a little bit lower of a level than an Adam. Then we add on the affliction, Ish Tzarua. Then we remove the definition of man altogether. We call him just the Tzarua, the afflicted. Then the Metzora. Then the Metaher, the person who's coming to cleanse himself, and then the Ish HaMetaher, Hamitaher. Back to an Ish. From an Adam to an Ish Tzarua, to a Tzarua, to a Metzora, to a Metaher, to an Ish HaMetaher. He's trying to get back to that final level of back to Adam, going through this loop. The interesting thing is, the term Metzora, only appears once in these parshios, just the word Metzora once, and yet the parsha is called Metzora because it's the first couple psukim. But the parsha has already finished talking about the identifying factors behind the Metzora, behind the tzaras, and really Metzora, Parshas Metzora, the second half, the second leg of our double feature, really deals with the tahara, with the cleansing process. I would expect a different word, a different defining word for the parsha other than Metzora, being the lowest of the low, appearing once, and we're dealing with Tahara. So why Metzora? This is clearly something essential to this week, and to this week's parsha. My second question is this. When it comes to the beginning of Tazria, when it starts talking about tzaras, the dvar comes from Hashem both to Moshe and to Aaron. And yet when it comes to the tahalich of the tahara, that process, the dvar is only mentioned by Deber Hashem Moshe Lemor, not El Moshe ve'el Aaron Lemor. Why leave out Aaron, who is integral to both aspects? The Kohen is the only one who can call tzaras, and the Kohen is the one who does the avoda in the Mishkan, in the base of Mikdash, and he's the one who clears him from the tzaras. So why isn't Aaron in on it, on the dvar? Those are my two questions. I want to start to answer it with the following. The opening psukim of Tazria deal with childbirth. Isha ki Tazria, v'yaldal zachar. Vayikra Rabbah, the Midrash Rabbah says on this pasuk, Isha ki Tazria, hadahu dichtiv, this is what is referring to, pasuk in Tehillim, achor v'kedem tzaratani. You created me, achor v'kedem, all-encompassingly, front and back. The Midrash expands, kodem l'maseh, if we are zoche, then we were kodem l'maseh bereshis. We were the first creation on earth. If we're not zoche, we were the last creation on earth after gnats. The Shem Shmuel explains, yes, it is true that man was created on the sixth day, the final thing, and the man actually encompasses everything else in this world. In the whole world, we know that the Midrash says that God wanted to set the table for us just to come, and the whole world's ready for us. However, explains the Shem Shmuel based on this Midrash, explaining the Midrash. Yes, it's true, man was created on the sixth day with everything prepared, and with all those elements of the creation in him. However, the nefesh, the neshama, that was created first. If you're zoche, if you act like a person, where your neshama comes before your body, when you look at yourself as a soul, and your body is just the garment, then you're first. Then you're kodem. Then you're kodem l'maseh bereshis. However, if you put your body first, the body that was created on the sixth day, then you come after everything. You're no higher than a gnat. This is a theme that goes very much through Das Atzmacha. I would definitely encourage you to read that, where he talks about the idea where we have to view ourselves and how our avos and the Nevi'im and our leaders before us looked at themselves as a spirit first and the body as the garment, as the kli tashmish to the neshama. The Zohar says, based on this idea, Adam kiyeh be'or b'saro negatzaras. Adam, a man who is encompassed by the neshama. Adam is the neshama. Kiyeh be'or b'saro negatzaras. That it says be'or b'saro, on his flesh, not bo, not kiyeh bo, in him internally, because he's a neshama. The neshama is tehorahi. It's a chelek elokam imal. It's be'or b'saro. It's external. That's what distinguishes an Adam from everything else. The Adam, that high level of being a pnimi person, a neshama person, a nafshi person. The Shemesh Mol continues, he explains, based on a pasuk in Re'eh, we have a commandment, but that commandment is preceded with the following, with the statement that Hashem makes to us. Bani matem Hashem Elokeichem. You are Hashem's children. We are Hashem's children. Lo tisgodu v'lo tasimu karcha b'neinechem lames. When you're in Avelos, when you're saddened over the death of a loved one, you shall not give yourself cuts, and you shall not make baldness between your eyes. You shall not take these goyish ceremonial activities upon yourself when in mourning. The Gemara Yevamos says lo tisgodu doesn't mean just to make a sareta, to make cuts, but it also means to go into agudot, to separate, to create different factions within, and to remove ourselves from a state of unity. The Shemesh Mol explains what the Gemara means is that this is based on the Ramban and the Zohar. Why is it that Bani Matem Hashem Elokeichem precedes Lo Tisgodu? Because we're the children of Hashem, because we are neshamas, we have chelek elokam imal, we are the descendant of Hashem, we have Hashem within us, we are those children. The neshama is that children. When a mace dies, yes, the body becomes a carcass, but the neshama goes up. It's going to higher worlds. Don't make agudos. Don't separate those two. Don't look at the person's guf, that separate guf from the neshama. Don't separate those. Don't look at that guf which is separate. That's why you're crying because of a carcass. You should be happy. Now, of course, the Gemara in Pesachim says that nowadays in this world, when we hear bad news, we say Baruch Dai and Emes. But in the world to come, in Yemos Mashiach, we will be saying Baruch Hatov V'Meitiv, Bein L'Tov, Bein L'Ra. This is what we're trying to get to. This is the ikr here that we're discussing in this whole parsha, of an Adam, of a person who is neshama, nefesh first. And we see this specifically in a couple instances by Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, when Hashem comes to him and tells him, I want to send you, I want you to be the shliach, I want you to lead Am Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, Moshe says, Lo ish dvar manochi. Now, Moshe was an ish hashlemus. He was a full Adam. So explains the Maharal, Lo ish dvar manochi means, what it means is, I live in the plains above. I am not a gashmi chomri person. I'm a nafshi person. And dibur, as opposed to re'iyah, as opposed to sight, as opposed to sound, as opposed to smell, those are things that come to us. We're not in emotion. We're inert. It's something that comes in menucha. But dibur requires emotion, requires a tnua, and that is the essence of chomrius, of gashmius. Moshe says, Lo ish dvar manochi. I don't have that chitucha dibur. I don't have that gashmius within me. I'm a nafshi person. Moshe was this nafshi person completely removed from this world, almost, other than the fact that he was a man, a human being who overcame many obstacles, as we know. But he went 40 days without bread. He saw God face to face. He separated from his wife. The Meshech Chochmah explains further. We have the pasuk at the end of Dvarim, V'lo yada ish k'vuraso ad hayom hazeh. Nobody knows where Moshe is buried. The Meshech Chochmah says, not even Moshe, because it says Lo yada ish. Ve'ish Moshe anav meot mikol adam. Ish Moshe. So Moshe didn't know where he was buried. What does that mean? when his neshama had already left this world, his body was leading him to his death place, to his burial place. But his neshama was gone. He didn't even recognize where he was. He was already on the plains of the neshama. He was already moving on to the higher worlds. Moshe, the person, the Ish HaNefesh, is the one who gives us the Torah of the Tahara, specifically to the Metzora, the person who's completely taken over by the Tzaras, the person who is no longer an Adam, no longer an Ish, he's a Metzora. He has lost his way, and he's put his goof first. He's put his dibur first, the Tnua, the Chumrius, the Gashmius. So Moshe has to come, the dibur from Moshe, Isha Shlemus, who says, get up to the next plane. The Meshech Chochmah explains that when the Kohen performs the purification ritual, the Talich of the Tara, V'lakacha Kohen milog Hashemen v'yatzak al kafa Kohen asmalit. He takes the oil that is brought for the Metzora, for the Metaher, and he pours it into his left hand. Now the Meshech Chochmah explains that this avoda can be done the way the Pesukim are written. It sounds like in this pasuk that the Kohen puts it into the left hand of another Kohen, but it's also okay if he puts it into his own hand, his own left hand, as long as it's in the left hand. The Meshech Chochmah explains, we know a very well-known saying of the small doche v'yamin mekareves, because the left pushes away and the right brings closer, because the right is stronger. Kadosh Baruch Hu, as much as he wants to push us away, he's always hugging us, he's always bringing us back. This is always generally understood to mean that the left, which is the Midas Hadin, versus the right, which is the Midas Harachamim, the Midas Harachamim always overpowers the Midas Hadin. But the Meshech Chochmah explains it a little bit differently. He says that the left represents the nature of man, the taiva of man, his desires, his baseness, his nature, and the hechrech, need, his fight or flight. Whereas the right represents the chokhmah, the seichel, the Torah. Small dochev, the yamin mekarev, means, and this is what the Kohen is showing, the Kohen is the one who eats kodshim and taros b'tahara. He is mugdar, he is commanded to abstain from certain types of women, from zona, halala, from grusha. He has specific higher levels of kedusha when it comes to the baseness, to the gashmius, in a sense. If he's tameh, he's not allowed to work. His avodah is pasul. The Kohen shows how to bring the left to the right. He's showing the Metzora, he's demonstrating, yes, you went with the guf, you went with that left, and I'm going to show you how to use that left and bring it back to the neshama, as long as we view ourselves as the neshama tahora, which can never be dirtied. It is 100% pure, clean. It's the guf that does these actions, and that can be cleaned. The garment can be cleaned. After Shlomo completes the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, they have the Chinuch Habayis. Pasuk describes the aftermath of the massive party. Am Yisrael, vayalchu le'ohaleihem, they returned to their tents. Semechim, happy, v'tuvei levav, joyful. Al kol hatova asher asa Hashem leDavid avdo u'liYisrael amo. They were happy, they were grateful. And the Gemara Mod Katan says when they returned home, they were nehene miziv hashchina. Rav Avram Pam explains, how do we get that from the pasuk? How did the Gemara understand from that they were smechim with tovei levav, they were sameach in the nene miziv hashchina, in ziv hashchina? Maybe they were just happy from the food, from the good times that they had. Rav Avram Pam explains, the simcha, the joy that we experience, the satisfactions that we experience from enjoyments that are gashmi, they don't last. When that moment ends, we move on and we forget it. When we eat something, it's good in the moment, but when we packed it away, it's done. We're not remembering that and still happy from it. But simcha shel mitzvah, that lasts. It could be eternal, but it lasts longer. They went home after the simcha was over, and they were still happy. That's nana miziv hashchina, because they enjoyed the simcha shel mitzvah. They enjoyed simcha from the nefesh. That's eternal. That is who we are. That makes us the Adam. We go from the Metzora Vinene from the Gashmi, which is of course important. Kadesh Atzmacha B'Mutar Lecha means though that we sanctify our guf for our neshama, for our nefesh, that we learn to channel, that we're metaken the Gashmius for the Ruchnius. There's a story that the Rambam brings down in the beginning of Zraim, that the philosophers of the world wanted to look into each and every being in this world, the insects and animals and beasts and trees, everything in this world, and they wanted to find out if everything had a purpose. And they looked into everything. It took them years, and they found a purpose for everything. Even the grass that could be poisonous, there is some medicinal purpose. There's a purpose to everything in this world. And they sat down after years of hard labor, and they had a party. They were happy in their labor until one of the philosophers stood up and said, we looked into everything, but we overlooked one being, ourselves. What are we good for? We just destroy. We know that in Judaism, Adam is here to be metaken and mekadesh. Yeah, we plant, we sow, we reap. And we get to that stage where we make the bracha. We're mafrish chalamina isa. That's why we were created, to put the finishing touches on the world of kedusha, of taking the gashmis that was given to us and raising it up to Hashem, or bringing Hashem down to the gashmis. Either way you look at it, it's all in that prerequisite of looking ourselves at as nafshi, nishmasi persons, enwrapped, engulfed, cloaked by a guf. Here's something that we should be zoche to truly feel simcha shel mitzvah, a mitzvah lishma, at least once in our lives and for the rest of our lives. Shabbos.